A special thank you to each of our subscribers who make this channel possible. Here's today's story. This week, the government faced significant backlash after a surprising reversal on its welfare reforms, leading to a complete dismantling of proposed benefits changes. Initially projected to save £5 billion, the bill's savings have now been reduced to zero, leaving the government with a substantial financial gap. As ministers scramble to address this black hole in public finances, the prospect of tax increases looms large. The Chancellor, already under pressure following a spending review that cut deep into departmental budgets, may have no choice but to raise taxes to fill the void left by the welfare reforms. However, the Labour Party's commitment not to raise taxes on working people complicates matters for the Chancellor, limiting viable options for generating revenue. In a leaked memo, Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner suggested several tax hikes that could be considered, but these proposals were largely ignored at the time. With the recent welfare climb down, the Chancellor may now be forced to revisit these options. One of the most likely moves from the Treasury could be the extension of the freeze on income tax thresholds. This would mean that as wages increase due to inflation, more workers would be pushed into higher tax brackets, effectively increasing their tax burden without a direct tax hike. This stealth tax is often perceived more favorably by the public compared to direct increases on businesses or paychecks. If the freeze is extended until the end of the Parliament, it could generate significant revenue as earnings rise. Currently, around 2 million workers are expected to be affected by the existing freeze, which is set to last until 2028. Meanwhile, calls for a wealth tax have intensified, especially following the government's welfare reversal. Labour MPs, including Rachel Maskell, have demanded that taxes on the wealthiest be increased to compensate for the lost savings. Polls indicate that a significant majority of the public, 77%, would prefer tax increases on the rich over cuts to public spending. However, implementing such a tax, potentially a 2% levy on net assets exceeding £10 million, poses challenges, including the risk of high earners relocating abroad. Concerns about this exodus have led figures within the Labour Party, such as Liz Lloyd, to caution against the wealth tax. Additionally, there are long-standing calls to equalize capital gains tax with income tax, as many believe that workers shouldn't face higher taxes than those profiting from asset appreciation. Labour MP Andy MacDonald emphasized the need for equity in the tax system, advocating for fair treatment of workers who contribute to the economy. Rayner has also highlighted the need to reinstate the lifetime pensions allowance, which was removed by the Conservatives. Although Labour had initially planned to restore this cap, those intentions were abandoned as the election approached. Given the recent backlash over cuts to winter fuel payments, the government may hesitate to introduce further policies that could alienate pensioners. Another potential avenue for the Chancellor is increasing corporation tax for banks, a move that could be politically advantageous due to limited voter backlash. However, it's important to note that banks in the UK already face high taxation, including a 25% corporation tax rate, a 3% bank surcharge, and a 0.1% bank levy on their balance sheets. Rayner's memo also suggested raising tax rates on dividends, which could generate an estimated £325 million annually by removing the current dividend allowance. However, there are concerns that increasing dividend taxes could deter investment in companies, potentially harming the economy. Additionally, Rayner proposed ending inheritance tax relief on shares listed on the smaller AM stock market, a move that, while politically palatable, may not yield substantial revenue. As the Chancellor prepares for a potentially painful autumn budget, the implications of the recent welfare U-turn are becoming increasingly clear. MPs narrowly voted for only a small part of the welfare plan, cutting universal credit sickness benefits for new claimants from £97 to £50 starting in 2026-27. This decision has resulted in an estimated £5.5 billion fiscal gap, raising alarms about the government's ability to adhere to fiscal rules set by Labour last year. In a separate but related development, one of Britain's largest oil refineries has collapsed under the weight of unpaid taxes, amounting to hundreds of millions owed to HMRC. Meanwhile, Rachel Reeves' proposals to reduce the tax-free cash ISA allowance have drawn criticism from industry leaders, who warn that such measures could severely limit mortgage availability for those in need. In a lighter note, James Norton recently captured the attention of fans with his amusing reaction to a train ticket mix-up involving an over-60s railcard. As the Prince and Princess of Wales engage in friendly competition during royal duties, the public remains captivated by their every move. On the international front, Russia has launched a significant missile and drone attack on Ukraine, while President Donald Trump expressed disappointment over his recent call with Vladimir Putin. In the midst of these pressing issues, the Chancellor is set to deliver a Mansion House speech outlining the government's financial strategy moving forward. The public and political landscape remains uncertain as the government navigates these turbulent waters. That's all for this story. We upload videos every day covering many different subjects, so hit that subscribe button to stay informed. Thanks for watching.